that use fiat currency as a store of value. We call them poor. We call them poor. People that use fiat currency, we call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. We call them poor. There's a name for them. We call them poor. We call them poor. Okay?
Ladies and gentlemen, and by ladies and gentlemen, I mean Harry Swan. Big influence. What's going on? How's everybody's day? You just get into the music, you know what I mean? Louder. Value. We're going over the different marketplaces. Bitcoin, Solana, Ethereum. SBF got sentenced too. Got people that were down at the courthouse. See what they had to say. Space is crazy.
There's a name for them. We call them poor. We call them poor. Okay?
And with that, welcome to tonight's show. Hope you guys are all doing well. If this is your first time tuning in, what's up? My name is the Schiller. We go live every day, Monday through Friday, to talk about NFTs, Web3, and things that your friends might leave nasty comments on because they think that NFTs and this stuff is stupid. But one day they'll be like, damn, this weird guy was right. So checking out Magic Eden here for the Bitcoin Ordinals Marketplace. Ink on BTC minted today, and oh my goodness gracious, absolutely flying. Started out at a mint at 0.005 up to 0.084. It was all the way down to about like 0.06-ish earlier, and that was when the way that their mint was, there was just a lot of people that were able or could mint through like an elongated period. And yeah, once everybody was confident that those were listed, it's seeming that people are buying. And listen, look at the second ordinals here for runestones. Only 28 Bitcoin traded. In comparison, that's still a hell of a lot. But in comparison to Ink's 173 Bitcoin, that's insanely amount of money. That is. Node monkeys here. I always thought that this was going to be, kind of like at the top, but like it is price wise, but not every day is at the top on the marketplace. Listen, slow them down just a wee little bit on the 1 days. But Nat Cats, Quantum Cats, which I know there was a lot of weird things within their mint, but it's funny because like I'm not super familiar with these, right? Like you look at them and you're like, okay, that's cool. Then when you dive into the collection, do you really think, yeah, I want to go buy that? Over on Solana Frog, $506 for Frogana right now. Floor is up a little bit. Mutant Mon getting a bonus for the diamonds. That's getting some traction as well, up 204%. Madlads, almost $30,000 American. How absolutely absurd is this entire space? And then going over to the good old Blur Marketplace, we can see here. Yeah, listen, Ethereum NFTs, guys, 7-day change, minus 10%, 11%, 14, 10%, 6%. Listen, okay, we got a couple of green ones in there, Azuki Elementals, but all the way at 0.42. Holy smokes. Kind of wild to see that, but in terms of trending, Kaiju Kings with -7. Is this 7 cells? In the past a little bit. Murakami Flowers, I saw this on my timeline the other day where they were talking about how each individual one of these is like a one of one. Never realized that. Kind of cool. I think you want to pick up a Murakami flower. These were like an ETH at one point, but down here below 0.2 currently. And then checking out the Say ecosystem quickly too. Wow. Whatever this Alive 111 is, that might be the generative art, $516. The Daub characters, which you're probably familiar with, or at least seen these on your timeline. I'm not really sure what's the best way to describe how these look comparatively to like other collections, but I feel like they have a pretty distinct look. Sans, We Bump, again, another one that that people would probably be relatively familiar with if you follow the say ecosystem whatsoever, but it seems pretty much all like the same characters, if you will, over on say right now. JJ Hobbs saw this on my timeline, thought it was kind of interesting, noticed that they changed their PFP, and I guess it was for this artist called the Oak ASM, not to be confused with Altered State Machine, but I guess they're building avatars and some other stuff. It's a 19-year-old digital artist, so if you like or wanting to support any artists like that, then go check them out. But I thought that was cool from JJ. Now, Fibaka, we interviewed him. The interview's up on the channel. If you go check out the videos, you can see it. But why do I want to highlight this? Okay, so the Board Media Group, they cover Yuga, right? And their tweets are we going to zero? Think that we're going into like the biggest bull run, the super cycle, right? Where everybody's like, man, this might be the final hurrah for the upwards trend. And we're concerned about going to zero in certain places. Son of a gun. I'm super excited to be a parallel shareholder. Wait, what the heck is this? As soon as we ended the stream yesterday, this announcement came out from Parallel. $35 million funding round in Parallel Studios. We are excited to announce our latest funding round. Our team is thrilled to expand the Parallel universe across new mediums and platforms. So a whole bunch of investors here, I guess. Base Ecosystem Fund, Van Eck, Solana Ventures. Not really sure if I know, or I could be like, yeah, I know what the other ones are. What's going on, Shay? How are you? But then we have participation from a couple of different characters, from Loopify, Mr. Kvak ETH, which we just kind of read the original tweet from. Luca Netz is on here. Grail.eth, which is a big whale, Dingaling. And I'm not really super familiar with the other ones, but that's a lot of people and a pretty big raise. How many other collections do we see out there announcing how many funding rounds, raises, etc. that they have? Do we see any price action to follow? I feel like way back in the day, it was a lot easier to move markets. But for Parallels, we just highlighted, talking about the Prime token, recently announced their integrations with AI Wayfinder, and Prime is the token that's with Parallel, but you kind of get the idea. So Wayfinder is an AI agent framework designed to enable AI agents to operate within blockchain environments. Yo, what's going on, Narmac? Show some love for Harry Swan. Big influence. What's going on, Eyeball? Good to see you guys. And the goal, it aims to provide generalized on-chain AI capabilities to both developers and non-technical users. The key elements of the Wayfinder ecosystem include a purpose-built large language model, user-friendly interface for non-coders, integrations with existing AI agent frameworks, shell operations, and explicit intent to navigate regulatory issues. The Wayfinder graph to map relationships between blockchains and a native token to power the ecosystem. Obviously, Wayfinder is going to start out with Parallel, but going to go out beyond that. And again, we're unsure how this is related to Altered State Machine with the patents and a lot of other stuff, but still, either way, pretty crazy to see. Where is the former attorney, aka the judge? Did I ever tell you the story of when I was at VCon? He was doing like a job interview right outside one of the washrooms. So it's like this big, huge, it was the Minnesota Vikings NFL arena, and VCon was going on. I was just kind of like walking around, and I was like, hey, that's Judge. And I go up to him, and he's like pointing at this. And I mean, maybe he was streaming, but I'm pretty sure he told me, he's like, sorry, I can't talk. Like, I'm doing a job interview. I'm like, man, this guy is grinding. He's at VCon going for job interviews. That is crazy. Now, speaking of crazy, this isn't anything to do with Web3, but the VCS, it's one of the League of Legends, like official league. So there's the European League, LEC, there's the North American League within LCS, or I guess more American, and then VCS is another one that's in there. And apparently 32 out of 32 players, they're like investigating for match fixing, because like apparently that's how low their salaries are for whatever. So the entire league is compromised, and they're shutting down, at least for the time being. That's kind of crazy. Okay. I saw D's with this post with Spencer, and I thought this was very interesting because I've been mentioning relatively often about how easy it is within the space to gain recognition if you become somebody who sweeps collections, right? If you think of any collections that you've been in, you have a whale that comes in or just a known holder that's kind of the top that ends up rebuying, and everybody's like, oh my goodness, this is amazing, you're the best, and there's like a weird amount of like clout associated with it. But here's what the clip had to say.
Is increasingly tough. Like if you have a lot of money, you come in, you want to buy relevance, buying a project is actually one of the cheaper ways to do it, right? Like, okay, here's a question. Someone net new to the space, no one knows who they are. How much do they need to spend to be like relevant? Like what's the best use of capital and how do you want to spend it?
Biased. Buy a hoodie punk.
Buy a hoodie punk.
Tweet
Okay.
at me and then I retweet you and say no. I mean, we have seen people do that.
Right. Yeah.
Come in, buy a hoodie punk, buy an expensive ape, but you're only flexing to like one group of people. You're not like putting yourself in a position to save them. It's like a different type of relevance. Like you mentioned Manchi.
Yeah.
How much do you think he lost?
I think he probably lost like 3-4 million.
And then do we think that clout that he got was worth it?
Probably.
To him?
I mean,
like, is it
he
good?
also doesn't really need the money.
Is it good clout? Like, is that the type of? Does it matter? Is like any clout?
Maybe, right? Like people who are controversial in crypto, like I think that like if you know, I don't say that he will, but like if he launched like a rug or something, like how much would it generate, even if everyone knew it was a rug, right? Which is like a silly thing to say, but like we watched like, you know, the orange squares that everyone was trading, like if you like, you know, like this happens, right? Like what's the market cap of like the influence that someone had, right? Like, you know, how much did he make back on like friend tech? Like how much, like there's all these other like, crypto is interesting in that like influence is like not so hard to monetize, right? Even if it's not a rug or it's like a project, like if you can like, I think what the level of influence he bought in the NFT space for was really, really cheap. I think it was one of the most capital efficient uses I've seen of buying influence. This is a controversial take. Some people might not agree with it. And, you know, it's also influence that a lot of people don't like him, right? But like,
you know who he is, right? Hate him or love him, you know.
So, but you have
Yeah,
heard of
everybody knows who he is. Okay, who he is. That's an interesting clip. They're like, yeah, the influence he's gotten that's worth burning $3 million for. Is that actually the idea? Through all the blur farming to get influence? I don't know. But it's definitely a thing to keep an eye on. UK probe 20 billion of crypto transfers to Russia exchange. Comment in here, according to the government, it is fake money. Why are they looking into transfer of monopoly play money? Okay, kind of funny, but still, anytime this is kind of the headline, it feels like it's not good, especially after we just had the announcement regarding Coinbase and the SEC having to go to court, discovery, whatever. I mean, the headlines recently, and on top of that, we had the SBF sentencing today. Whoa. The Wolf of Wall Street, Scott Melker, good follow, good insights, and he was about to go live with Manran, and YouTube said the stream is unavailable and it's suspended for policy violations. It's a weird conversation because I've seen other people bring it up that are, I guess, more crypto focused. I feel like I kind of talk about everything more broadly. We don't really go over like charts or anything. It's more of news. You know what I mean? It's not what some of the other shows are out there, but you know, depending on the way that things are phrased, what you're covering, like for policy violations, what triggered that? Was it something to do with crypto? Was it something else? The FUD Storm continues. This is coming from the founder of Pac Moon, and I don't have any. But he says, kind of crazy seeing a bunch of my content creator friends fade me and Pac Moon. Like, do you guys not know by now? I understand viral marketing. Oh, well, this is just the beginning. Excited to keep cooking for our holders. All right, first of all, this is just the beginning. We're just getting started. Anything along those lines, that's a buzzword. Listen, the red flag's up. We're waving the track. Red flag. Now, with that said, still kind of interesting. We know that Blast is supposed to be this big player. Pac Moon is arguably one of the first, biggest, most well-known meme coins within that ecosystem. What happens is their connections. Seems like, you know, you got triggered a little bit there. What does that mean? So I had a thought the other day about video games. And, you know, your World of Warcraft, your RuneScape, go down the list. A lot of different ones that we would remember for our individual childhoods. At what point do we have an actual blockchain game that has as much of an impact as, let's say, a Roller Coaster Tycoon? Seen a couple different collections try to do like a tycoon type game. Most of them haven't really gone anywhere. Still could be changed. But we've not found that incredible, amazing, like generationally changing game yet. Will we find it this year? Maybe. But saw this on my timeline, got some nostalgia, just made me think, damn, you don't realize you're in the good days. Like back then, till you're gone. Those were the good days. Even though you can still buy it now on like Steam or something. Just FYI, if you want to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. Okay. FTX founder SBF sentenced in New York to 20 years in prison for multi-billion-dollar fraud. So do we say, okay, for stealing multiple billions is 20 years? Like, yeah, the pros and cons? Nah, I mean, most people I saw were just concerned that it wasn't more. For the most part, a lot of people thought that he would get off a lot sooner if he was good. Obviously, everybody's giving their opinion. But damn, 20 years. The way that everything made it sound was like he was going to get like 50 to 100. Right? Like 20, I feel, is relatively low for what the expectations were. But Carly Reid was out at the courthouse today during that sentence, so here's what she had to say.
A judge has sentenced Sam Bankman-Fried to 25 years behind bars for his crimes at FTX. I am leaving the courthouse literally right now. This just happened. Judge Kaplan he said that Sam's performance on the stand was unlike any he had seen in the 30 years that he has been a judge and doing this. He said that Sam was evasive, that he lied. He found that Sam had committed perjury. He cited 3 specific examples of where he said Sam lied on the stand, but that there were more than he was even mentioning in this courtroom. He completely rejected Sam and the defense's argument that his sentence be mitigated in part because money was being returned to customers. The judge said that that was misleading, that the harm that has befallen customers and lenders and investors was significant and serious, regardless of how much money may or may not get returned to customers. But the judge did reject the stiffest sentence, which was 105 years, or even the 40 to 50 years that was recommended by the prosecution.
There you go. Now, on a little bit more positive news here, today was opening day for MLB. Now, I want you to think of your local sporting event, right? You try to go to watch a hockey game, maybe a basketball game. Everything's expensive as hell at these events. I can't imagine what a fancy little ice cream with like an attached chocolate bar at Yankee Stadium would cost, but I'm going to say it's a lot. Blue Jays ended up winning today, though, for any of you Canadian fans in pretty good fashion down in Florida. So good to see. A quick update here from Wyatt from the Cool Cats Town Hall. I feel like these would be super useful if you had them for a whole bunch of different collections, but at the same time, it's like, I feel like they'd almost kind of all read the same. But here's what's going on with Cool Cats. Games are coming. Sapphire Town is coming. More journeys soon. Color Me Cool statues are shipping. New merch products coming. Shift toward content in the works. And NFT NYC activation. Nothing many of us didn't already know. There's always the, okay, it's good. Boom! Get smacked in the face with some FUD. Gotta love it. Absolutely Web3. So the title of the stream, I brought up KYC. That's a spicy meatball. A lot of people hate KYC. Is that kind of like a loud minority? Maybe. But Adrian bringing up a good point here as people, wow, Rajveer saying, well, people, heads up, Futureverse is going to need a KYC. We saw the KYC with Yuga Labs during the other side sale. We saw KYC if you ended up using Top Shot at any point, obviously any sort of exchanges whatsoever. But he is bringing up Otto, and that is a good point. Otto has a KYC that's kind of integrated within it. Now, going back to still kind of the theme of Futureverse here, it's very interesting, but I guess Cloncast, the artist for Cool Cats, actually kind of helped create the rendition of what the Cataclysm Third Kingdom land is. So shout out to Shay for finding this, but this is kind of the final model they went with, but originally they had a different one, but Cloncast helped spread that one out. which I think is kind of cool. It's felt like, I don't know. I've been scouring the timeline and there wasn't that many things today. So this is a little bit of a shorter show, but I still wanted to come on here and chat a little bit. I'm finding it weird how we're still having the same notions and talks about like certain NFTs while nothing is really changing, and now people are questioning kind of everything, right? Like I would argue in NFT land, it has never been scarier. It's never been more uncertain, depending on what kind of collections you're into, because a lot of the stuff is IP driven, right? It's about, hey, other people liking this, wanting to be a part of the community, have it as your profile picture. You might be like, oh, hey, you know, depending on who's rocking what, Shay has this, the cool cat. Let's see. Jarvis has probably got a cool cat too. Cloncast have it. Jeff has a bored ape. Big Kino here has got a pixel of the apes, and everybody's got like their own identity. And a lot of these things are, they have like extra, every NFT has something that's for it, right? But we are seeing a huge influx of the people that created these early communities to decide, hey, I'm leaving. I'm not wanting to do this anymore. Is this actually like a sign of quote unquote capitulation that was finally needed, even though NFTs have been killed forever? Or is this kind of a changing of the guard of people wanting something different? They have the integration within DeFi. Everybody's trying to do something major. And what we don't see anymore within the NFT land, at least to the extent that we did, was people just launching collections on a whim. There's nothing that you kind of see overnight. It's usually something that's long and drawn out process, similar to like the Ink on BTC, where they gave out a bunch of free one-of-one pieces for different individuals, from influencers to just people that entered contests. And it's not an overnight thing anymore. And that shows like a sign of the maturity of the space, but we still have a lot of collections that are still trying to do things. Some of them absolutely will, some of them won't, but it is very much wonky time as the saturation across every single chain. Do you want it on Solana? Do you want it on ETH? Do you want it on Say? Do you want it on Ordinals? It's just holy sweet mother of pearl. It's kind of crazy. I don't know. It's weird. My thoughts on NFTs have changed a little bit where, is it something where we're okay with just images and pictures and being a part of an IP? I think people are going to like that. I think the problem is that it's very hard and nobody's really nailed the mass onboarding aspect of that. We were told that Doodles 2 was going to do that. I haven't really seen that much at all. Thought Cool Cats could do something similar. A lot of these collections could do something similar, but are they waiting behind the scenes to come out and, blossom like a flower in a different way? I think maybe. And is that something that happens potentially next month? Does feel like the market's ramping up and people are on kind of the last hurrah of put up or shut up, for lack of a better term. So I'm going to shut up. And if you've enjoyed this stream, feel free to drop me a like. If you're wanting to see some of the other streams, we had a fairly lengthy one last night that I thought was really interesting and kind of invigorating. And of course, if you wanted to scroll back and see some of the videos from January, you'll see how what we talked about then is completely different than what it is now. But thanks so much for watching. We'll chat soon. Peace.